If you're watching this, ask yourself a question. When's the last time you genuinely tested yourself? When's the last time you genuinely felt challenged? Win or lose, you can be a hero if you just fight. Win or lose, you can be a hero if you make the brave decision. There are so many men of history we remember who didn't even win every time. Napoleon lost. He's still famous. His name's still etched into history. You can't escape the baselines of the universe. There are some laws which can't be broken. They can't be broken. They're universal laws. You need to have the bravery about you. I don't care what happens to me in this case or any other. I know I always made the brave choice. And I can sleep in a jail cell just fine knowing I chose the brave option. I don't know how most of you are going through life never choosing the brave option. And think, oh, but, I'm just being safe. It's cope. Safety's for women and children. It's not for men. And you have to make a decision now as a man, knowing you're going to lose, knowing you don't stand a chance, whether you're going to get in there and fight or you're going to come up with a bunch of excuses why you won't. You're looking for a reason not to do it, and you found a reason because someone told you not to do it. If you're going to go through life looking for people to tell you not to do something, you're always going to find somebody. This isn't about what anyone else wants to do. It's about you. What's your excuse? Oh, I have work in a few days. I have a black eye. So you can go in there like a man. Why are you so scared of losing? What's the worst that's going to happen? You have a black eye, you'll heal. When's the last time you even pushed yourself to do anything? When's the last time you got punched in the face? I miss my black eyes. The people who didn't fight, I think, got beaten worse than the ones who did, because they had to look in the mirror every single day for the next year or whatever it took for them to eventually come fight. They felt like cowards. There's nothing worse as a man than the feeling of cowardice. And the ones who fought went through the physical risk and went through the fear to make sure they didn't have to feel like a coward, because that's the worst thing a man can ever feel like. And if you're honest with yourself right now when you're watching this, a lot of you should feel like cowards. You weren't brave during COVID. You didn't get kicked off a flight. You wore your mask and you listened to your boss. You're scared of getting in a situation that you can't completely control. You don't challenge yourself. You don't test yourself. You go on the odd holiday, pretend you're rich and bang some girls, and you think that makes you a somebody. It doesn't make you a somebody. Nobody cares. You're still a loser. You're a loser. Because you've never been through the pain. All of the bad things that happen to you are the only things that are going to prevent you from being a loser. You need the difficulty. You need the suffering. I'm tired of people emailing me going, oh, this bad things happen to me. Good. That's why you get to be somebody who matters. All of the people whose lives go well all of the time aren't men. Men are the guys who stand up and say, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, and I'm still alive. We're supposed to be broken. We're supposed to be imperfect. Femininity is perfection. Masculinity is being a damaged human who is still competent and capable. You can even apply this to the way men and women look. We want women to look perfect. If a man looks perfect, women find it repulsive. They find it feminine and gay. They want you to look broken. They want you to look like someone's tried to kill you. That's what they want you to look like. They've tried to kill this man. He's covered in scars and he's big and huge, and they've tried to kill him, but he is still alive. That's the entire point. Because what you're doing, you want to go on holidays, you want to do all this garbage so you feel a tinge of it. But when's the last time you sat down and thought, I have to make this work? I have to perform. I need every single ounce of my strength and my capability and my competence to get myself in a situation where I can pull this off. When's the last time you've done it? And you're going to probably realize, if you analyze hard enough, that you may not have done it your entire adult life. You've been avoiding these kind of situations because you're scared of the consequence. And one of the worst things about this new social media or generation, everything's on camera, everything ends up on the internet. People are scared of losing their reputation, scared of losing their egos. We didn't care. We turned up and we fought. We won, we lost, but we turned up and we fought like men. Nowadays, you have people sitting there going, oh, I want to fight, but I want to win, and I want the video, and I don't want to look stupid, and their ego gets in the way, and it's their ego preventing them from growing. And then, heaven forbid, they make a little bit of money on a crypto pump. Then they have to go through life trying to pretend they're something they're not, because they have money now, and they want to pretend they're a G. Oh, well, I've got money and I've got this nice car. Nobody cares. Why would they? And it's really important what you said there about putting on a suit and putting on a cigar and renting a Lambo and driving around. All of those things, and I've said this a million times, you're trying to signal that you have money. You're trying to signal that you have wealth. But money is an amplifier. It's not going to change who you are. It's only going to amplify who you are. And if you're the kind of person who will turn up to a random sports hall and fight somebody who you don't know who they are and get in there and do your absolute best to destroy that man, and if you're the kind of person who will go then on to the UFC or go on to be a kickboxing world champion because you don't give up and you keep training, and then you get rich, you have a different aura about you than the person who skips all that part and wants to look like a G. So they get the Lambo and they get the cigar and they get the suit, but they skip all the hardship. And you know what? Predators and women have this amazing sense. I'll tell you something. You may be able to fool a bunch of geeks. You may be able to fool a bunch of geeks with your suit and your cigar standing around. But unless you've been through some difficult things, the men who have been through difficult things and women will smell it on you. And they'll just look at you and go, he's a poser. He's fake. And the worst thing you can do is signal to be something you're not when you're not really about it. You don't want to talk gangster. You don't want to be gangster. You don't want to pretend to be something you're not. You don't want to pretend to be wealthy and pretend to be a G, because eventually someone's going to check you. And if you're not really about it, you're going to then get either hurt, or you're going to cower, or your reputation's going to crumble. You can only fake and lie for so long. God is going to reveal the truth of us all. And the truth about you should be that you're a brave person. Money is easy, but to truly test yourself so the money has value, that's the important part, because being rich is great. But being rich without all the other accolades, without the bravery, without the struggle, without the fact that you're not afraid of anybody, without all the hard things you've been through, without all the difficulty, money alone isn't interesting. In fact, it just makes you a coward and it makes you a target. That's all it does. Everybody always says, if you tried your best, that's all that matters. The best is all you can do. If you tried your best, it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter if you lose if you tried your best. But there is a secret to the universe that most don't know. If you actually try your best, you can't lose. Not pretend to try your best, not try your best 90% of the time, not try your best with excuses. If you genuinely try your best all of the time, all day, every day, it's impossible to lose. So when men say, oh, I feel sad, who cares? The world doesn't care. All the men who are out here to destroy you and take your girl don't care. So when people say, if you tried your best, it's okay to lose, that is a logic fail. Because if you lost, you didn't try your best in the first place. If you actually try your best, it is impossible to fail in this life. God is watching and he rewards those who want it the most. If you want it the most, you can have it. It's a competition. Every dollar you want, the house you want, the car you want, other people want, you have to win. You have to want it the most and genuinely do your best, because most people aren't capable of doing their best anymore.
I want my boy to feel pressure, because pressure makes diamonds. And I felt pressure. I'll tell you something, man. I know a lot of people with a lot of money, but they were born with it. And when you're born with it, you never really suffered. You've never been hungry. You've never hustled. You've never struggled. You always just called daddy. And there's something about them as a man that is missing. Trauma is absolutely necessary in the development of a man. We need trauma. We need that masculine essence. We need to suffer.
If you are not motivated now every single day to get up early and work hard and do what's necessary and get a strong network and get money and get rich, you are going to wake up one day at some point in the future and you're going to hate yourself, because by the time you realize how important that was, it is going to be too late.
Hey, God, universe, I'm actually trying my best. I haven't missed a single gym session. I'm not being lazy. I'm not being stupid. I'm not lying. I'm not snaking my friends. I'm not scrolling social media. I'm not being a dork. I'm not jerking off. And then all of a sudden they'll come along and give you everything you've ever wanted. Strong body, strong mind, work hard.
Going through a breakup sucks. I think that breakups are worse for men than they are for women. I understand how difficult and hard they can be. However, when you're truly heartbroken, you can't even sleep and your mind is constantly preoccupied. And instead of seeing that as a negative, what you need to do is use that as a source of unlimited power. If I was truly heartbroken today, let's imagine, and I could barely sleep, I'd be in better shape than I've ever been. I'd train like a fucking animal. By the time you're finished becoming an animal, you won't care anymore. The sadness inside of you is energy. You can't destroy it, but you can convert it into something else which is constructive. And you're just gonna have to suck it up, buttercup, and get over it. You can just ignore that girl. That girl who broke your heart or cheated on you, just ignore her. The most powerful move you can make is ignore her. Yeah, you could yell at her. Yeah, you could try and make her scared of you. Blah, blah, stupid crap. That's not gonna work. The powerful move is just to completely ignore her, because you're on your ascent. She is likely on her descent. She likely has no intention of improving herself, no intention of becoming richer, no intention of becoming better looking. Time is against her. As she gets older, she's gonna lose her looks. You're gonna continue your ascent, and she's gonna have to watch you for the rest of her life be the man that she could have been with that she's no longer good enough for. The best thing you can do is simply ignore her. That is the powerful move. On your path to greatness, there are going to be long periods of time where you hate what you are doing, where you are dissatisfied with the actions you must undertake, where you are tired, where you are stressed. That is why it is difficult. That is why most people won't make it. If the path was easy, everybody would walk it and it would lead nowhere. 100 people start the path, 99 fall off because it is difficult, and the one person who makes it to the end gets the gold. If all 100 made it to the end and the gold was divided by 100, it wouldn't even be worth anything. The difficulty gives it value. The fact that it is difficult to do is the key component into the fact you want it in the first place. If it wasn't difficult, everyone would have it and you wouldn't want it because no one would respect it. It's supposed to be hard. Life is supposed to be hard. You're supposed to think this is terrible. You're supposed to suffer and smile through the pain regardless.
You've got to be a little bit gone to it. You're not all there. You've got to be almost insane to your craft. Not a lot of people can understand that. That's why I don't know about nothing else. I do not pay attention to nothing else. There was games of football on yesterday, there was rugby, there was this, there was that. And like normal society is like, let's talk about this, let's engage in this. And I can't do it, I just don't, people are talking to me and in my head I'm counting something. I'm counting up a number, or I'm knee deep in a sequence on the mat or on the feet. That's my life, sequences and numbers, nothing else. I cannot pay attention to nothing else.
Guys, this is some life advice from the top chief. If you're sitting at home and you want to do better than the current position you're in, the first thing you have to do is blame absolutely everything on yourself, whether it's good or bad. Because once you take absolute self-accountability, then you will find actions you can take, steps that you can make, which are going to directly correlate towards your successes. If you blame outside sources, if you say I was unlucky, or the government did this, or this politician, or this person lied about me, then you're blaming other people and you feel helpless. You need to feel in charge. You've got to take absolute self-accountability, and that's what chess teaches, because no matter how well you play a game of chess, if you lost, at some point you made a mistake. Absolutely everything as a man is your responsibility. It's your responsibility to become your best and brightest version of yourself, and you're not going to do that simply by talking it into existence. You need to live it into existence. You need to go out there and do things which are genuinely difficult, genuinely stressful, which are genuinely scary, so you can become the man you want to be. So you have to take responsibility for these things, and you have to seek them and choose and find the correct difficulties for you to overcome, so you can build a character worth having.
You stare at your past and you'll end up staying there. It's okay to look back and admire it, but you carry on. People can get comfortable with a win. And slack off then. Slack off on the training, slack off on the diet. They've won one. They're winners now. That's not me, you know. You sleep on a win and you'll wake up with a loss.
Manhood is exceptionally hard, and life is hard. But how you shape yourself will determine how hard it is for you and how miserable it will be. As a man, there is no easy life. Your life is not about being easy. Your life is not about being happy. Your life is always going to be difficult. All of the pain you feel, all of the sadness you feel, you're supposed to feel as a man, and you have two effective binary choices. You either go through the suffering and go through the trauma and go through the hardship it takes to be a man of value, or you suffer eternity as a nobody. And being invisible, I would argue, is almost worse. You can have a very stress-free life if you work in Starbucks. You don't care about the Starbucks once you clock off. You go home, you play video games, and you exist until you die. That's stress-free, but you have to suffer being a nobody. Alternatively, you can go out there into the world, try and implement your mark on the world, work hard, try to get rich, more money, more problems. You can try and start a business, the stress of that. You can lose your girlfriend because all you're doing is working. This is a new level of stress, a new level of trauma, but at least you'll be a somebody at the end of it. There's two ways to suffer. You either suffer becoming a somebody, or you suffer as a perpetual and forever nobody.
I've been listening to laughter all my career.
Yeah.
I've been listening to them laugh my whole career. They've been laughing. What? An Irishman win a Cage Warriors world title? Hell no. You serious? An Irishman? An Irishman win a fight in the UFC? Hell no. Laughs all around. Okay, you gotta win. Now he wants to win a world title? Hell no, he's all talk, he's all hype, he's a joke. Laughter all around at the Joker. Then the Joker goes and wins the world title. Now he wants to win a second world title. More laughter. Listen, the sound of laughter and the sound of doubt motivates me. I've got this situation where people are truly doubting me, like they doubted me at the very, very beginning. And that's motivating for me. That's what's going to drive me to the gym when I need to go to the gym.
That's how much you know school's a scam. You don't look at someone rich and respect them thinking he went to school. The people you are learning from in school aren't even fucking rich. Your business professor's never had a business. School's a scam, and it's the biggest scam on earth. The reason it's a scam is because it operates in a vacuum. It operates in a vacuum because it cannot be fairly compared to any other service. So you can get a loan for school, but you can't use that money for anything else. Because if they were to open it up and put the school, the education system, into the fair market of capitalism, it would fail. If I were to give you 100 grand and say you can get a degree, or you can buy a crypto, or you can start your own business, or you can do anything you want with it, who's going to choose a degree? Nobody!
So they say you can only get the money if you use it for education, which allows it to operate inside of a vacuum. Because it operates inside of a vacuum, it is one of the few things on the planet which is allowed to be non-competitive. It's not competitive against any other investment. Everyone knows that. But you can only get the money for that, so you can't get the money to invest in anything else, so you end up doing it, learning something that is outdated, slow to learn. There's more degrees every single year, meaning the value of a degree decreases, and the price goes up every single year.
You know what I mean? You can always do something. If your ankle is sore, well, is your arm sore? What's the problem? Do what you can. People use things as an excuse. You know what I mean? Okay, something's off, so I can just chill on everything now. But it's important not to do that. You know what I mean? You've got to focus on what you can do, not what you cannot do, because that will consume you. If you focus on what you can do, sooner or later, you're going to be able to do absolutely everything. There's always something you can do. All the time. So it's just about finding it, being honest with yourself, and fucking doing it.
I believe that it's pain that teaches. I don't believe men especially can learn any way besides pain. We talk about learning a lesson the easy way or the hard way, and I'll tell you something. We've all been offered chances to learn a lesson the easy way our entire lives. And guess what? We didn't learn anything, and we kept doing it. It's natural, intrinsic inside of men. You'll see a man drive a car too fast and almost crash 100 times, and he won't learn his lesson until he's crashed that car. We only learn things the hard way. It's only pain that can teach a man. Every single time something bad happens to me, that's how I see it. I see it as God teaching me to make me more wise, more formidable, a more capable opponent, and that's how you have to approach life. Every single hero in every single movie goes through adversity. There's never been a hero movie where all he does is win. No. To be a hero, you have to suffer. If you're suffering in some degree, even if you're a normal guy with a normal job and you're suffering at your job, or you're heartbroken because your girl left you, or whatever, if you're suffering, that's part of your hero's journey. There is no hero's journey without suffering. If you have an easy life the whole way through, you never get to be a hero. That's the whole point of being a man, is that you're supposed to suffer. You're supposed to eat pain for breakfast. You're supposed to come and grow into a better version of yourself. That's exactly what life's supposed to be about as a man. If you want to be a superhero in life, you need to understand that for 80% of the movie, you're going to suffer. For 80% of the movie, you're going to lose. Watch any superhero movie. For 80% of the movie, it is nothing but pain and frustration and difficulty. And when your life is that way, you have a chance to grow into something fantastic, and you should thank God for every difficult thing he puts in your path. Think about a superhero movie. A man is unfairly imprisoned in a Romanian jail cell and trained so hard he emerges stronger than ever before. That is a movie. You get to live a movie as a man if all you had was some balls. We are living movie scripts. Why? Because we have bravery. Most men sit there and wonder why they're depressed, because you don't get to live a movie. You're not the main character of anything. You're not even a secondary character in anyone else's movie. You're an unimportant nobody because you were afraid your entire life. You've lived like a coward your whole life. You were afraid of what might happen if you have some balls. And then you wonder why you're depressed. I'd be depressed if I was you. Of course, your life sucks. I'd rather go to jail as me than live free as you. Because when you're free, you can't even do anything. You can't go where you want, you're broke. You can't have sex, girls don't want you. You can't speak because no one listens. So what are you free to do? You're more in jail than I ever was. My mind is free. I'm allowed to think what I want to think and say what I want to say. They have thoughts and they go, don't know if I should say that. They second guess themselves. They're their own worst enemy. Every single part of me is on my team. I have enemies who want me dead, fine. But every single part of me, my mind, my hands, my legs, every single part of me is on my team. My body doesn't second guess itself. My mind doesn't turn on itself. We don't break and self-sabotage. There's no civil wars inside of Andrew Tate. A lot of men no longer have shame. You have no shame left. You should be too ashamed to be a coward. You should be too ashamed to do the wrong thing. Where's your shame? Well, we destroy that, right? We destroy that even in schools with men and stuff. I'll tell you something. My brother can shame me into doing something. He can shame me. He can call me a pussy or a coward, and I'll set up and say, no, I'm not, and I'll do the brave thing. Shame works for men sometimes. I say to men all the time. Men come to me and say, I can't get a girlfriend. I say, it's because you're a loser. You are a loser. Change that fact. Come to me and prove to me you're not a loser. I will shame him, and he will react to it, and his life will improve. But now we have men with no shame. They'll walk around with no shame at all, and then we wonder why we have a whole bunch of cowards. Cowardice is always the easy choice, but you should feel too much shame to take it. That's the problem. It's the path of man, it's the path of victory, and it's the only path to truce. It's the only path to genuine happiness in your heart. There's one path. There's one. There is one path to happiness, and that is masculine strength, and that is eating pain for breakfast and becoming a better person. The flavor of life is pain. You try to change the flavor, you're gonna end up disappointed, you're gonna end up weak, you're gonna end up miserable. Accept the flavor and learn to love it. That's the only path to genuine competence and happiness within yourself as a man.
The Irish mentality is when you're finished school, if you're not going to college or anything, you have to get a job straight away. There's no chasing your dreams and doing what you want to do, you know what I mean? It's get a trade or get in and do a job. So I got the first trade that came my way, which was plumbing, you know what I mean? And I spent 18 months doing that, and I'm looking around on the site and I'm looking at the fully qualified people, you know, bad backs and bad posture and not a good life to live, you know, and I just realised I didn't want to go down that route, you know what I mean? I thought I could do something with my life, and I knew I had the ability to make it in this game when I walked out of jobs. That's why I left the plumbing, and obviously my mum and dad weren't too happy, you know what I mean? So, but like over time they saw the amount of work I put in, you know what I mean? No one works harder than me. I'm the hardest working athlete on this island.
When you're truly heartbroken, you can't even sleep, and your mind is constantly preoccupied. And instead of seeing that as a negative, what you need to do is use that as a source of unlimited power. If I was truly heartbroken today, let's imagine, and I could barely sleep, I'd be in better shape than I've ever been. I'd train like a fucking animal. If you were to say to me, Andrew, you have to make double the money you're currently making, what's the number one emotion you want to feel to do it? I'd say heartbreak. Break my heart. I can't sleep. I'm furious. Break my heart, and I'll make a fucking $1 billion. Take all the negativity and turn it into positivity. When a lot of men message me and say they're heartbroken, I think that is the most fantastic mindset to be in to achieve things, because there is that degree of revenge and there is that degree of vengeance, and that can only be achieved through being so successful, so monumentally important that she can't forgive you. And also, you cannot even sleep, you can't even concentrate, your whole mind's a mess. That's the perfect time to train. Energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be converted from one form to another. You have to look at that and understand that the sadness inside of you is energy. You can't destroy it, but you can convert it into something else which is constructive, and you just have to suck it up, buttercup, and get over it. I'll tell you right now, the largest monumental jumps in my life in terms of success is when I was pissed off or sad. Now you have genuine sadness inside of you, which is unlimited motivation for you to become a fucking beast, become an animal. And by the time you're finished becoming an animal, you won't care anymore. So if you really want to cure yourself, you can just say, I'm going to get a six-pack and I'm going to get bigger arms. And by the time my arms are this size and I have a six-pack, then I'm going to think about that bitch. And you'll realize you don't give a shit about her anymore. That's just the way the world works.
What do you imagine the world to look like in 5-10 years' time?
It's a good question. I think the best way to predict the future is to study history. I believe in times of old, let's go back the last 3,000 years. If you were a king, your life was pretty good. Or it was as good as life could be. To be a king, you had power, influence, money. That's what you had, and you were a king, and you lived a good version of life. If you weren't a king, you were an average man, a common man. And I think the world is cyclical. When you were a common man 2,000 years ago, you were effectively a slave, and life was terrible. And then that was the same all the way up to perhaps 1930s, 1940s. Being a common man was pretty terrible. And perhaps it was the war and the massive loss of life. Perhaps it was something else, I'm not sure. But I kind of feel like there was a golden period between in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, maybe even the 90s, where being a normal, hardworking man, because life is cyclical, went from being a terrible existence to quite a good existence. In the 60s, you could be a normal man who worked in a factory, an unskilled labor job, and with one wage, you could afford a house, you could afford a car, you could afford to raise a family, your children would not be taught garbage in school, your wife would respect you, you'd have a home-cooked meal.
Times are good.
Times are good. All the things I said about playing Uno earlier in Hyperbole are true. What matters most? Your wife loves you, you're respected as the breadwinner, your kids respect you, they listen to you, your house is clean, your house is safe, your car works, your life is good. And I feel like, because it's cyclical, those good times are over and we're going back to where it was before. The kings have always been fine, and we always will. But if you're the common man, I think that the good days are over, and I think it's going to get harder and harder. Inflation is going to absolutely decimate your spending power. Now, inflation doesn't damage me. Inflation doesn't damage me because I own all the assets. Inflation just means houses get worth more money. Inflation just means Bitcoin and stock and land and houses
all go up. Inflation means my car collection is no longer worth 110 million. It's now worth 300 million. Whatever. I own everything.
Inflation is amazing for the rich man.
100%. I love it.
But for the broke man,
you're done.
You're fit.
You're done.
You're finished.
Because inflation is meaning your money is worth less. And it's going to take more of your money to buy a house, and your wage is not going to increase at the rate of inflation. It's becoming more and more impossible for you to own assets. For us asset owners, inflation is fantastic. So the common man is about to get wrecked. I think inflation is going to make it exceptionally difficult. I think AI is going to make most jobs worth less than they already currently are. Mm-hmm. If you're a newspaper writer or whatever, AI is going to take that in the next 10 years.
Yep.
And you're going to, if you still have a job, it's going to be only managing the AI, which means you're going to be paid even less than you're currently paid. I think life is about to become exceptionally difficult for the people in the middle. I think the good times are over. I think it's going to go back to the feudal system of kings and serfs and peasants. And I think if you're a normal, average person now, you should feel deep fear and panic and understand that you have a certain amount of time to get into the higher bracket of the social class before these hard times come. And the most scary thing about these hard times is I have no real evidence for this. It's just in my mind. I feel like the gap is going to permanently close. In olden times, let me think about this, Paul, because in olden times, the chance of turning into anything more than a peasant when you were born a peasant was effectively zero, unless there was chaos, unless there was a war or some great catastrophe which allowed social mobility for you to go to war, win, get a knighthood for bravery, get some land, and change your social mobility class. But there had to be war and chaos for you to escape, because without the chaos, it's kind of like a prison break. When all the rules are being adhered to and the prison is operating as it should, you're stuck in your cell. But if there's a prison riot, you have a chance to escape, which means uncertainty and chaos are required for the difference in social mobility. And that's always been the case. But now I feel like with AI and certain other things, although there's going to be instability in the world, although they're going to continue to lie to us, I feel like the Matrix is going to gain enough control to keep us all in our pods or in our 15-minute cities, or our electric cars will be turned off, or we need to get our bug rations for the week, so that there can't ever be enough true chaos for you to escape. There won't be true social mobility, and I feel like there's going to be a close. The people who are rich now, their bloodlines will be rich for a very long time. And the people who are poor now, if they don't get rich soon, in the next 10 years or so, they're never going to get rich. You're never going to get rich. The prices of houses are going to continue to go up. Prices of land is going to continue to go up. Inflation is going to continue to happen. Your wages will not catch up. It's going to get harder and harder for the average person to ever stand a chance of owning any assets. Yeah, it's now or never. Yeah. It's almost impossible right now. How does the average person on an average wage buy a house in London right now? It's almost impossible already. I think in the next 10 years, it's going to become truly impossible, and they're going to use AI to keep the gap closed. And what's interesting about that is, well, I'm in the rich team, I guess. But what I find most interesting about that is the socio ramifications of the fact that I think this is quite pertinent to most average people. I think most normal people understand. If you were to ask them, how's the economy? They'd say, well, it's impossible. I can't pay for my bills. I can't pay to eat. I can't afford a house. I can barely afford my mortgage. I'm never going to get rich this way. They understand all of this, but they're not panicking. Why are you not panicking? The Titanic just hit the iceberg. You may not be in the water yet, but it's certainty. There's nowhere else to go. It's going to sink. It's going to happen. Panic now. Don't panic at the end with everyone else as they go into the icy depths. No, I would argue if I was on the Titanic and it got struck by the iceberg, I could have got a lifeboat nice and early. Now, I wouldn't have women and children first. I'm just using this as an example. Analogy.
No, I know where you're going with it.
I could have gone to the top deck when no one else was panicking and said, you know what, I want this. I want to go on a lifeboat. No, I don't feel comfortable on a lifeboat. And the guard probably would have said to me, you don't need to go on a lifeboat. It's no big deal. I said, yeah, but please, just give me the lifeboat, or here's some money, or whatever. I want this one. Give me this one. Everyone started panicking at the end. No lifeboats. And people are sitting here now going, oh yeah, the economy's bad, but you know, maybe if we vote for this person, who are you going to vote for that's going to put money in your pocket? Actually come along and say, here's money. Nobody. Still got to pay your council tax. Still a brokey. Nobody cares. No one you vote for is going to change it. It's going to get worse. It's going to continue. And you know the boat is going to sink, and you're not panicking.
that's why I kind of catch myself. And one of the things I try very hard not to do is become elitist. Because when you've come from the absolute bottom to the absolute top and you've done it all off of your own back and hard work and dedication and never missing a day, the only shortcut to life is to never miss a day. One, because of compounding interest, and two, because sometimes you get lucky. And you'll never miss a lucky day if you try every day. If you don't try every day, you might miss your lucky day. And that's what people don't understand. If you never miss a day and you never don't try and you're always on time, was I late today? No, on time, and you try and improve every aspect of your life and you're a professional and you try and make sure that you analyze your decisions, you give yourself feedback, you don't make mistakes, you're not lazy. If you try and you make it to the top, you end up elitist because you look at the people down below and you're like, well, why didn't you try? I did. Oh, I did too. No, you didn't. That's a lie. Now you're lying to me and that annoys me. And you catch yourself being very elitist. And this is what's scary about it, because I'm from a Luton council estate and now I have all this money. But if I meet somebody who's truly broke, I'm not talking about you not have hundreds of millions, but if I meet somebody who's broke, I think they're an idiot. And I catch myself going, is that bad? Am I elitist? Or do I sit down now and I just say, no, I started lower than you and beat you. How are you poor? You're lazy. They don't care about you. They don't care you can't feed your family. Why would they? So, and you can also look at it from a global perspective, which is quite interesting. Because America was built off the back of World War II. World War II made America rich. But Europe, for the longest time, got rich off the exploitation of second and third world nations. That's how it got rich, by building empires in Africa and Asia, etc.
Colonizing countries.
Yeah, colonizing countries. This is how they got rich. And now we have populations in Europe and in the West, which are decadent. And we want high wages, and we want maternity leave, and we want holiday pay, and we want good working standards, and we want good working hours, and we want nice chairs to sit on. Now we're entitled. And if you're a company and you need slaves, do you want entitled slaves, or do you want slaves who are just going to do their job for low pay? And then you start to understand why immigration is being unchecked on purpose, so they can bring in people to try and work jobs for basically nothing, who don't want standard of living and don't want standard of work. And what they're effectively doing now is, instead of exploiting the second and third world to benefit Europe, the globalists are now decimating Europe on purpose so that they can live somewhere else. And okay, that's going to prop up the economies of the second and third world, so the whole thing is reversed. Instead of destroying the second and third world for the benefit of Europe, they destroy Europe, and that's going to benefit the second and third world. But they're globalists and they don't care. All they care about is forever profits. They'll go live in Saudi. They'll go live in Mumbai. They don't care. They're not tied to the land or tied to the place like the average European is. So if you're the average man in a European country and you're not financially free and you're stuck somewhere in the middle, not only is your life going to get harder, but also the place you live in is going to get worse. Your wages are going to go down. Crime's going to increase. All of these things are going to happen so that the people in charge can get their forever profits and avoid all the mess they make. And it's all done purposefully. If I was an average person, I'd be genuinely afraid. I mean, it's easy for me because I have so much money. Okay, I'm currently restricted in Romania and I'm under a matrix attack and they put me in jail, blah, blah, blah. One day I'll get out and one day it will be over and I'll still be a millionaire and I can look at the map and go, where is safe? Tokyo. But most people can't do that. They can't do that. They're stuck. And the fact that that doesn't bother them or they don't panic, I find flabbergasting. I mean, the iceberg has struck the Titanic. How long can you have a border where people can arrive by dinghy and throw acid in people's face until your nation has fallen? How long will you allow this to happen until you realize it's done?
It's done.
It's done. And how long will you sit there and get hit by endless bills that continue, inflation that wrecks your currency, wages that don't increase, new taxes with ULEZ cameras, unchecked immigration for people who don't have a passport, crime rates increase? Bro, I said this to Tristan. We were saying how we miss England because we're English in our hearts and part of us missing. And I was saying, you know what? If I lived in England, I couldn't even protect myself. I have guys here with guns because I'm currently on bail and I can't carry a gun. Otherwise, I'm strapped all the time. If you come to my house, there's a big gate and there's pit bulls and there's 4 guys with weapons, guns. You need SEAL Team 6 to get in my house. There's bulletproof doors and I have a gun next to my bed. I'm the final boss. It's going to be a shootout. In England, I can have all the money in the world. I can go to Radlett. I was looking at a house in Radlett. I'll say it right now, it's 12 million pounds. It was gorgeous. And I thought, it's worth 20 million. For 12 million, it was worth
Bargain.
Bargain.
Yeah.
And I was like, Tristan, if we bought this house, the problem is we couldn't even protect ourselves because eventually someone will work out it's our house.
It's just like it's just like all the footballers.
Of course.
All the footballers when they go to play matches, they all get robbed.
Bro, eventually someone will work out it's our house. The only way you can protect yourself in the West now is to hide. I was like, we can buy this house, not put it in videos, not put it on social media, not invite girls over, because you know what will happen? You'll invite a girl over one day, and she'll say, I'm coming with my friend Lucy. Not from the BBC, a different one. We're like, okay, Lucy, she comes. Lucy turns up, she's a 7. You don't talk to Lucy, nobody likes Lucy. She sits around, she's a 7.
She sends the location as well.
She knows, next weekend she's out sniffing coke with some dickhead, and she's like, I was at Tate's house. No, you weren't. Yeah, I was at Tate's house, look at this picture. Where was it? Here, boom, bam. They now know where your house is. They start talking about it. Mr. Bugatti, Mr. Diamond Watch. I'm sitting in my Radlett house, there's fucking 25 windows, 6 door entrances. I'm like, Tristan, we can't even hire armed guards. Who could we even hire to protect the house? I could come along with $1 million a month contract. I'd end up with G4S, some old man sitting in a little box. And when they rock up, 20 dudes with blades, it's over. You can't even be rich in England unless you want to hide.
Tell me this, yeah?
I wear a $400,000 watch in Bucharest, Romania. In London, I can't wear it. In London, I don't wear it. So we're talking about how the nation's failed. You could be rich in England and you're still not safe. You still have to pray they don't find you. You have to live like a hermit, like a cockroach under a rock and hide. Or maybe you get a chance to call the police before they chop your wife's hands off. Oh, that's great. That's how fallen this nation is. And there are people there with no money. They're not even rich like me. They have no money. And they're sitting there going, it'll be okay. Maybe if we get Rishi Sunak out and get another one in. No, it won't. No, it won't. It is a failed society. You need God. Revert to Islam and move to Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, none of that will happen to you.
This is what I was going to say. So tell me, picture this for me. Paint me this picture. The case was dropped. You're free to go wherever you want. You get on your private jet tomorrow. Where do you tell the pilot to go?
Well,
I'm talking about to reside, not just holiday.
Yeah, to reside.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's interesting because I really truly believe the Western world has fallen. And one of the things I prioritize now in my stage of life is safety. I don't see the point in anything if I'm going to end up killed. But if you're going to kill me, at least the Matrix has to kill me. At least make it a cool story. He was telling the truth. He did fun podcasts. They assassinated him. Make it good. I don't want to die because some idiot wanted my watch. You know?
Yeah.
I don't want to die for that. And I feel like the whole Western world is that dangerous now. I make this clear. When I go to London, I'm probably the most nervous. I don't know how anyone lives in London without feeling nervous. I'm so nervous all the time. And it costs me such an exorbitant amount of money. If me, my brother, and a couple friends go to London, we'll jet from here, that's 50 grand. And then there's 4 of us, that's 4 rooms, and we want to stay in a 5-star hotel, so that's 2 grand a night, so that's 10 grand in hotels. And then I have my security team there, it's 3 grand a day. So it's 13 or 14 grand a day in hotels and security, 50 grand to get in. Then I'll go shopping, of course, normal. But even when I'm walking around Harrods, my head's on a swivel. And I've got 3 dudes with me who are 6'8". And I'm still like, and then you'll hear about someone get robbed just outside Harrods while you're in Harrods. You're like, how do people live in this city? And they're just living there like, oh, it's not that bad. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I've never had that. This is the capital of the poorest nation in the European Union. I've never had any problems here. I drove a Bugatti around the streets. I parked my Ferrari on street corners. I wear a $400,000 watch. I've never had anything. Yes, I have security. Yes, I had armed guards. But for the years before that, I've never had any trouble.
What's interesting about it as well is that these things stand out from the crowd. Obviously, I've been here for a couple of nights now, and you don't ever see a Ferrari, Bugatti, Lamborghini, or anything like that. So when you see Tate in his Ferrari, you know.
Yeah.
So it's very easy. If this was like London, your target 100%.
Oh, bro, 100%. This is my point. Lucy would give the location up and I'd be a target and I'd be decimated. So how do you have a nation where you're not allowed to be wealthy without hiding? Where you can arrive without a passport? Where they can't catch people who decimate people's faces with corrosive substances? where there's people in a room, those who are supposed to be designated towards enforcing law and justice, trying to put me in jail because I said women can't park. This whole thing is a clown show. This whole thing is a clown show. And only God can save us now, my friend. I don't know what the West is going to do, but this clown show is built on the back of the taxes of the hardworking average man. You're the average man. Not only is your life fucked, not only is your future fucked, not only are your children going to be finished, you're paying for this. You are paying for all of it. And then, if you ever get to a point of finance where you don't have to pay for it as much, or you can escape, one of your ex-girlfriends will call you up and demand money. And if you don't give it to her, you go to jail. What planet are we on? The Western world has fallen, and empires rise and empires fall. This is the cyclical nature of the universe. That's fine. But to sit and try and pretend it hasn't fallen is hubris. It's being an ostrich and sticking your head in the sand. And the smartest thing the average man can do is realize that yes, the Western world's fallen. And two, you have 10 years to get into the higher class, the higher social mobility class, or you and your bloodline are eternally finished forever.
Yeah.
Which goes back to a point I said earlier. If I'll teach you how to make money online for $49, you understand you have less than a decade to save your entire bloodline and you do not join, well, then you're a loser. And your great-grandchildren will wake up one day in their slave pods eating the cockroaches, and they'll ask their mother, why was granddad a loser? Why didn't granddad try and save us? And you're going to have to sit there and come up with some answer for them. You're going to have to say, oh, well, he was busy.
Try and justify somehow.
Try to justify it. He was busy. He was jerking off the Pornhub. Oh, he was busy. You know, it was hard for him. It was a bad economic climate. Give a bunch of excuses to your bloodline as they continue to be slaves forever and washed my children's cars. Fine. But if you have a brain, you're going to understand you're running out of time. You're going to fix it. Especially if you understand the nation you're in is sinking. The Titanic you are on is about to sink. Everyone in England, it's done. It's over. It's done.
So where do you go?
Good question. Manhood is exceptionally hard, and life is hard. But how you shape yourself will determine how hard it is for you and how miserable it will be. As a man, there is no easy life. Your life is not about being easy. Your life is not about being happy. Your life is always going to be difficult. All of the pain you feel, all of the sadness you feel, you're supposed to feel as a man, and you have two effective binary choices. You either go through the suffering and go through the trauma and go through the hardship it takes to be a man of value, or you suffer eternity as a nobody. And being invisible, I would argue, is almost worse. You can have a very stress-free life if you work in Starbucks. You don't care about the Starbucks once you clock off. You go home, you play video games, and you exist until you die. That's stress-free, but you have to suffer being a nobody. Alternatively, you can go out there into the world, try and implement your mark on the world, work hard, try to get rich, more money, more problems. You can try and start a business, the stress of that. You can lose your girlfriend because all you're doing is working. This is a new level of stress, a new level of trauma, but at least you'll be a somebody at the end of it. There's two ways to suffer. You either suffer becoming a somebody, or you suffer as a perpetual and forever nobody. What did Napoleon say?
He said, glory is fleeting, but obscurity is forever.
Absolutely. Glory is fleeting, but obscurity is forever. And when he says fleeting, that's a really good point, because everything in life is rented, especially your glory as a man. When you have a good body, it is not a good body as complete. It's not finished. You haven't completed the task. You have rented that good physical condition. You must train every day to retain it. Everything is rented. Your body, you don't just get a good body and you're done. You still have to go to the gym every day to maintain that good body. You don't just get a hot girl and it's done. You still have to work hard for her to always love you and respect you. You don't just start a business and now you're rich. No, you have to start a business and work on that business every day. If you take your eye off the business, it will fail. Everything in life is rented. So when he says glory is fleeting, he's also absolutely not correct, because glory is fleeting and you have to constantly and endlessly work for it and make sure that you never stop. Otherwise, it will be taken from you. But obscurity is forever. If you never make a mark on the world, then you effectively never existed. And when you're gone, nobody will care. The reason our Father is discussed at length is because of who me and Tristan are, and the reason we will be discussed forever is because who our sons will become. And that's very important, because you have a duty to your ancestors and you have a duty to God. So you must make a choice. And this is genuine choice for you people at home. Do you want to live in obscurity forever and be invisible and not matter and have an easier life? I would argue that it's not easier because in your heart and in your soul, you're going to feel guilty knowing you could have been something you're not. Or do you want to try your absolute best and struggle and suffer every day of your life paying the rent for all of the amazing things around you? We pay endless rent. We pay rent for our bodies. We pay rent for our relationships. We pay rent to keep our kids. We pay rent to keep our business. We pay rent to keep our freedom. Every single day is work to pay the rent. It's absolutely never ending, and you have to make that choice. So if you have a pen and paper in front of you, you need to decide, do you want to be invisible with a lower rent bill, or do you want to be important and work hard and suffer to make sure that the rent is paid? It's a choice you must make, and it's binary, and you must be extremely dedicated towards the decision you finally make. Absolutely everything as a man is your responsibility. It's your responsibility to become your best and brightest version of yourself. And you're not going to do that simply by talking it into existence. You need to live it into existence. You need to go out there and do things which are genuinely difficult, genuinely stressful, which are genuinely scary, so you can become the man you want to be. So you have to take responsibility for these things, and you have to seek them and choose and find the correct difficulties for you to overcome so you can build a character worth having.
I believe that it's pain that teaches. I don't believe men especially can learn any way besides pain. We talk about learning a lesson the easy way or the hard way, and I'll tell you something. We've all been offered chances to learn a lesson the easy way our entire lives. And guess what? We didn't learn anything, and we kept doing it. It's natural, intrinsic inside of men. You'll see a man drive a car too fast and almost crash 100 times, and he won't learn his lesson until he's crashed that car. We only learn things the hard way. It's only pain that can teach a man. Every single time something bad happens to me, that's how I see it. I see it as God teaching me to make me more wise, more formidable, a more capable opponent, and that's how you have to approach life. Every single hero in every single movie goes through adversity. There's never been a hero movie where all he does is win. No, to be a hero, you have to suffer. If you're suffering in some degree, even if you're a normal guy with a normal job and you're suffering at your job, or you're heartbroken because your girl left you, or whatever, if you're suffering, that's part of your hero's journey. There is no hero's journey without suffering. If you have an easy life the whole way through, you never get to be a hero. That's the whole point of being a man, is that you're supposed to suffer. You're supposed to eat pain for breakfast. You're supposed to come and grow into a better version of yourself.
I have no interest in being happy. I wake up and say, how can I be proud of myself? What can I achieve that makes me proud of myself? How can I do things that make other people respect me and are proud of me? How do I have a day which I complete when I come home? The woman who's in my house says, wow, there's no man like you. How do I live a life so my children look at me and go, Dad's a superhero? How do I make my mother call me and say, I couldn't possibly be more proud of you? I choose proud. I don't choose happy. So if you were to say to me, this cup of juice will make you happy, I'd say, I don't want it. What do I want to be happy for?
Damn,
I want to be proud of myself.
That's some real shit, bro.
So what do you do to make you? What do you do to make you proud of yourself, and what do you do to make others proud of you? I have duties to complete. I have to live the exact same life, regardless of how I feel. So, for me, happiness is not a good indicator on how life should be lived. You shouldn't wake up and say, "How happy am I today? How does that affect how I act?" That's not how I operate. I wake up and say, "What must be done? What will allow me to be proud of myself? What will allow me to achieve?" And those things will be done regardless of how I feel. And that's how the most successful people on earth all operate. The most successful people on earth don't only do things because they feel happy about doing them. The whole world doesn't give a fuck if men are happy or not. Nobody cares about men being happy. We talk about women being happy. We want children to be happy. If you look at a full-grown man on Christmas morning, he's smiling because his wife is smiling. He's smiling because his children are smiling. Nobody even buys him anything. What do they buy the dad? Socks? Nobody cares about men being happy. So why do you as a man care about you being happy? That's how you're going to fall into these traps. I'm a very content person. I live a fantastic life. I'm not miserable or depressed. I'm not sad ever. But I don't wake up and go, I want to be happy today. No, sir. I wake up and say, okay, things must be done. And those things will be completed regardless of how I feel. Regardless of how I feel. You can lock me in a dungeon for an unknown amount of time in Romania, and I will still complete as many push-ups as I can possibly do in the dark by myself. What else am I going to do? Sit there and be sad? Happy or sad? The push-ups must be done. It's called duty. It's called honor. It's called pride. If you had these things, you would never do dumb shit in the first place. So I'm asking you why you don't have them. You could be a genuine force for good in the world. And you know what's funny? The funniest thing, the most ironic thing about all of this is that if you don't prioritize happiness and you prioritize feeling proud of yourself, you end up happy by extension.
I'm happy because I'm proud of myself because I have a fucking fantastic life and mansions and supercars and money, most famous man in the world, thousands of love letters a week from beautiful women, street credit in every single fucking city on earth. Of course I'm happy, but I didn't ever choose to try and be happy. If I would have chosen to try and be happy, I would have never ended up happy. If you are struggling with the motivation to be a winner, then stay a fucking loser. When I tell people that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, everyone agrees. They go, yeah, that's probably true. The 5 people you spend the most time with, that's what you're gonna end up like. They say, yeah, that's true. And then they continue to hang around with people who they don't want to be. Why? There has to be a point. There has to be a point where you sit and go, okay, you're my friends, etc., etc. I love you guys. Yeah, we can talk, whatever. But I'm on a different life path. You have to leave some people behind. You wouldn't want to be, if you were to come hang out with me and you were in a room with me and my 5 friends, you'd feel self-conscious.
You're right.
You don't feel self with your friends.
Because you only you only surround yourself around people that are on like your level of like.
I'm with killers. I'm with killers. We're fucking monsters. If you were to come hang around with me and my crew, you would be self-conscious, and that self-consciousness would motivate you, or they would certainly instill the discipline required for you to change. You don't feel self-conscious amongst your peers. That's why you don't change. If you were to get in a room and you're the only person who ain't a fucking monster, you'd want to become a monster. That's life. That's humanity. So I say this to people all the time. If you know you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around with, why you hang around with people you don't want to be? Brother does 500 push-ups. I ain't gonna be the bitch in the house. I ain't gonna not do them. So that's another reason the war room exists. My organization, the reason it's so competitive, is the reason we kick people out. You have to fight.
Even if they pay, you're like, I don't give a fuck, get out. Like,
I don't give a fuck, get out. It doesn't matter. Everyone pays to join. You get kicked out anyway. You have to fight to keep your place. That's the whole. Damn. That's because that's how life was. If we were still in the animal kingdom, the lions that you see on TV, they weren't just born big lions. They had to fight other lions. They had to fight to get that antelope. They had to fight other animals, hyenas, jackals. They had to fight to be the boss. We're living in a comfortable world now where people think, oh, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. But you know what? To some degree, it does matter. It does matter, and I'll tell you who it matters to. It matters to your soul, and it matters to God. I stand in the mirror with a pure heart. I know I am the best version of me that could possibly ever exist. I know that God is proud of me. There's nothing that God hates more than sloth and laziness. If God were to create a man, and that man were to sit around and do fuck all, God will frown upon you. It's why you're never lucky. If you're listening to this and you think I'm never lucky, I'll tell you why, because God dislikes you because you're fucking lazy. Start to work. Start to show God the beauty of his own creations. You'd be amazed how lucky you'll become. God is unhappy with these people. And inside their hearts, they're unhappy. We talk about depression, anxiety, all those things you mentioned earlier on this podcast. That comes from self-loathing. You loathe your own weakness. You loathe your own laziness. This is what all of these things are. I don't feel depression. How can I feel depression when I'm the most powerful version of me that I could ever fucking be? How can I feel depression when I can squeeze my own hand hard enough to break my own bones? How can I feel depression when I've smashed and destroyed 68 people's faces in front of me, men who thought they could test me in fair combat? How can I feel depressed? It's impossible. Watch your friends when they're on TikTok. How long can they even focus on a video before they have to change? Half a second, a second. Maybe. All of your minds are broken. You can't even focus on anything anymore. Right. You are constantly distracted to the point where you can't even appreciate the good things in your life. You're distracted. Your minds are broken. You need to rewire your mind and resist the slave programming.
How?
They have I'll tell you how. First thing you have to do is identify it. You have to identify what is happening to you. I use my mind to break the trap. What I do is I allow my enemy to manipulate me on purpose. And then I use my mind to break the trap and punish the perpetrators. I will sit on TikTok for a day and I'll just enjoy TikTok. And by the end of the day, I'll watch myself. How quickly I'm looking to be entertained, how little time I give a video, how fucked up I am. And then I'll blink and I'll cure my fucking brain. You must allow yourself to be manipulated and you must fix it. All of it. You just talked about not appreciating the things you have. Then blink and cure your brain. It's not difficult. There's just no competition because everybody's fucking distracted.
They're getting distracted by this, distracted by that, watching fucking Netflix, jerking off to Pornhub like fucking jackasses. It's so easy to win if you can control your own mind. But it seems that nobody fucking can. And that's how the people who run the world keep the world running, because they have all the slaves exactly where they need them to be, permanently distracted and semi-depressed, working their asses off in jobs which will never satisfy them and never pay enough money. That's the Matrix. Do what I'm supposed to do. It's not a matter of how I feel or how I'm motivated. If I was depressed, it's impossible, but if I was depressed, my life would be, and the day-to-day activities would be exactly the same as if I was ecstatically happy. You wouldn't be able to see a difference. I'd be up at the same time. I'd be in the gym the same. I'd be doing the same shit. Those are my duties my duties to God. How I feel has nothing to do with it. Completely unrelated. How I feel is unrelated to my duties to God. They don't change based on how I feel. They're the same. And they will be completed because I refuse to fail God or my bloodline. You could take 150,000 of these people and travel back in time and stand them in front of their ancestors. And their ancestors who fought fucking saber-toothed tigers or escaped the Mongol hordes or managed to dodge bombs in the Second World War. All the shit they went through just for this fucking cretin to be born. And to look at him, who he is, listen to his life story, listen to what he does on a day-to-day basis, and they would feel nothing but fucking shame. Your ancestors did all that shit, all that struggling to survive, hunting and gathering, fucking avoiding enemies, anything it took, dying at age 30 from a tooth infection, all the crap they went through just for you to be born so you could smoke weed and jack off. That's what your ancestors died for. That's what they worked so hard for. If you were born 100 years ago and it was the 1920s, you'd be in some ditch in northern France, living in the fucking mud, hoping not to get killed by a random sniper in some bullshit war you barely understand for 4 years. Then you'd come home and hope your wife hasn't been bombed.
Yo!
You understand? But that's the world. That's the world. The world has become exceptionally easy for a lot of men. It used to be a different place. Most men were cannon fodder. Most of us would have ended up in wars, dying for fucking no reason. Now we don't have to do that. So because we don't have to do that, men think it's okay to just become comfortable now. You're not supposed to be comfortable. You were never evolved to be comfortable. You're supposed to be uncomfortable.
Right.
And if you make yourself uncomfortable constructively, it's very easy to be anything you want. I find it amazing that people will sit there and spend all their time upgrading that character, making as much money as they can, getting the best guns, getting strong, getting some hoes, meeting important people, getting the best car. They'll do all that in a game, but they won't do it in real life. I find that incredible. My life is GTA. I don't need to play a game for GTA. If I want a gun, I'll fucking buy it. If I want a car, I'll fucking buy it. I want a bitch, I'll get her. It's me. I am GTA. I don't see why people play the games. They play the games because they're scared of loss. Because if you die in the game, you get another chance. If you lose in the game, you get another chance. In life, you get one shot.
Damn,
But if you get some balls, that's what life is as a game. That's what life is as a man. This is one big video game. You get to upgrade your character. You're not born with any value. All these women that you just put me on with are born with value. They're pretty already. They're gorgeous already. They're good looking enough. Even if they're a 5, someone's going to give a shit they exist because someone wants to fuck them. As a man, if you don't make yourself valuable, you have no value. You have to get up and do it. Just like a video game, you start with fucking 0. You have to decide if you want to complete it. You have to upgrade your character. So I find it amazing that men are going to play video games and fuck about and waste their time instead of upgrading their character. Everyone knows what to do. You know what you have to do.
You're right.
If you had to become the most dangerous, intelligent, respectable man on the planet, you know you're supposed to go to the gym. You know you're supposed to train, learn how to fight. You know all these things. You don't do them. That's your decision. It's your prerogative. I didn't make that choice. I made the choice to do it all. I decided on it. And every single man watching this can do the exact same thing, which is why I have very little pity. I'd never make fun of someone who hasn't got a choice. I wouldn't make fun of someone born with one
I
eye.
have a choice though.
But if you've made a fucking decision to be less than you should be, then I believe you should be mocked for that decision.
I agree. I feel like, yeah, because like you're not living up to your full potential. Like it's your choice to basically not live up to your full potential.
Completely. And me as a man, when I put myself through hell, when I have had such exacting, such stringent standards for myself, why would I then have less exacting, stringent standards on the people I meet? Why would I put myself through hell being me and then meet someone who didn't put themselves through hell and then treat them like my equal. No, fuck you. I suffered when you didn't. So you're not my equal because you decided not to suffer. You have enjoyed comfort when I haven't, and that's fine, but don't expect me to look at you as my equal because you're not. I'll snap your fucking neck. I can't imagine a mind frame or a mindset where I want to do something and can't do it.
Right.
So it's almost difficult for me to answer that question, because if you have that kind of mind, if your mind is so fundamentally broken that you cannot do with your own mind what you want to do,
right?
You know, like that, then you're just fucked, right? Life is hierarchical. There's always going to be kings and there's always going to be peasants. If you have a mind that you can't control, then you're never going to be a king. You're going to be a peasant. That's your life. You have a peasant's life ahead of you, and that's your destiny. Enjoy, right? There's always been peasants. That's life. But I believe that the most important thing you can do as a man is to gain control of your own, is to gain control of your mind. Once you have control of your mind, life is so ridiculously easy. It's so ridiculously easy. It's so easy to be in. People say to me, Tate, you're in good shape, but all you do is drink vodka and travel the world. You're never even home. You never even have a gym. How do you do it? It's ridiculously easy if you control your mind. If I decide to do 1,000 push-ups, I'll do them. Maybe I have to do them one at a time. Maybe I'll get tired. Maybe I need a break. I'm going to do 1,000 because I said I'm going to do 1,000. It's not fucking hard. Everyone knows what they're supposed to do. Once you control your mind, it's easy, right? Getting over a breakup with that bitch. You miss that girl, you're upset, you miss her with all your heart, da-da-da. But once you realize she's gone, if you control your mind, she's gone now. She's gone now, gonna miss her. That's a shame. Off to the gym. But like, you either control your mind or you don't.